All right, what's going on? How's everybody doing today? I expect that you're doing great. Welcome to Sunday School. We're going to get into it. As always, I want to um, make sure that you know that you can communicate with me, ask your questions. I'm here to make sure that I'm helping, right? I'm playing around with some new tools today here as well, so it is what it is. So make sure that whatever questions you have, you just shoot them in the chat. Let's get to work, right? Let's get to work. 2023 is that time. You know, the opportunities here, we're going to go over what those opportunities look like, why this way and why not that way, and some of the things that are being said out there in the media. So without further ado, why don't we just get to it? What's going on, friends and family? How y'all feeling today? Turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up. What's going on, friends and family? How y'all feeling today? I hope you're feeling great, doing well. I've had a lot of conversations over the past, I'd probably say about the past couple months, 2-3 months, about people wanting to get involved in real estate and asking how they can get involved in real estate given all that's going on with the economy. Well, you either have a lot of time, which means you don't have the money, or you have a lot of money, which means you don't have the time. And they want to know how they can get involved in real estate. Some of them have said, look, man, what do I need to do to just get into a deal, right? I don't really have the time to do all of that. So we've just invested their money in some of the deals that we do. So I'm here to open the invitation to all my friends and family that are watching this right now. If you're interested in getting involved in real estate and you simply don't have a ton of money or you don't have a ton of time, maybe you only have, $5,000, maybe you have $100,000, I don't know. But if you're interested in investing in real estate deals passively, truly passively, just reach out to me. There's no link. This isn't an ad. Just DM me and let's have a conversation. We've got deals right now that we can fund. Right now, as of right now, multifamily as well as single family. Deals that you can be in as little as 6 months and as much as 2 or 3 years. Depends on the scenario and what your particular investment strategy is. All I can say is let's have a conversation. So if you're interested, friends and family, just reach out. Let's have a conversation. I'll see you later. Peace. All right. Welcome back. I hope everybody can hear well. You good? Good. That's good. Okay, we're in there. So 2023, here it is, January 1st, 2023. What are we going to do? How is it going to happen? What new things are we going to have to go through this year and then going into 2024? And how are we going to, fully take advantage of it? Well, let me start by saying this. The methods that I'm sharing with you about creative financing, all this talk over this past, 5, 6, 7 weeks or so, is because it is not going to be as simple as just wholesaling your deals moving forward. I continue to tell people that, and the number that I use is 80%. 80% of the typical wholesalers will be gone this year. They're not going to be there. And for you folks that are taking full advantage right now of the educational process available to you, I'm telling you, these are the systems, the creative financing structures and systems. You're still going to do some cash deals. There's still going to be some cash buyers out there. There's always cash out there, but these are the processes that you are going to be able to use moving forward, and you're going to keep them incorporated into your business. Why? Why would you do that? Well, one, you're going to be able to do deals that most people can't do. Values are high, right? Still high, even though they're coming down. Interest rates are high. They will come down, but they're going to at least be where they are all of 23. More than likely, especially when the Fed meets again, I believe in February, it's going to go up again. So as those rates go up and stay up and values are still high, okay, there's going to be a lot of pain in the market in a matter of months. And what you're doing now is being known. You're developing relationships with people. You're creating that initial contact so you can continue to follow follow up, and follow up. Some of these deals that are going to be creative can turn into cash deals, right? You can use little to no money. And if you're in my education program, you know exactly what I'm talking about doing deals with no money, structuring deals with no money, at least right here, right now. But we also train you how to go raise that capital and, you know, have that conversation with people and continue to do it over and over and over and over again. It's extremely important that you get well versed in that. So I talk a lot about creative financing because that's going to be the majority of the business that we do moving forward. It's who we're going to be competing with, right? It's how we're going to be doing business moving into 2023 and 2024 and 2025. These things are going to be significant. So understanding creative financing is extremely important. Putting offers together the old way, I talk about it all the time. You're not going to get deals. There are people that are telling people very unique ways in order to make these cash offers, right? So what I'm telling people is, yeah, we can still lead in with a cash offer. Depends on the scenario. You know, once you talk to the person and you go from there. And by the way, again, I want to reiterate this. If you're watching this and you're maybe you've got a deal that you're working and or a deal that you'd like to work, but it's not really working, just shoot me a message. Let's figure this thing out and let's have a conversation. Let me help you get through it. I wanted to get on a live call just so you guys can see what that is like on this. But, you know, it's still New Year's. No one is working tomorrow, you know, so people are still on vacation. So for those of you that are here watching this live, hey, thank you. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you get a lot of the content. Well, you're going to get all the video content that I create. You're going to be able to see the podcast. The podcast is Real Estate 360. If you listen to podcasts on whatever your device you're listening to, on your phone or your tablet or in the car, wherever you are, go ahead and listen to that, right? Real Estate 360, that's the podcast. You can watch it on YouTube and you can just see all the content. We have a lot of process videos. I put these videos up there and we just go from there. Everything is designed to help you do your real estate business better. I'm telling you, I know I saw it the last time, you know, in 2008, 9, 10, when so many people just lost everything and there was very little to do. Hey, I can't see who everybody is that's commenting, but hey, Happy New Year's. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am very, very grateful to all of you and for all of you. Thank you so very much. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. So let's get into it. You got something you want to talk about? Let's talk about it. How are we going to make money in 2023? Well, let me give you the landscape of 2023. There was an article that came out. Hey, Cassandra, what's going on? There was an art. Oh, by the way, before I even get into that, Cassandra, I hope you saw that I tagged you in a post for that contract that you have in there. So it's in there. Also, for everyone else that's listening or watching this, if you're inside the Facebook group, you can simply go right into, oh man, what is it? You know, when you go to the Facebook group, you'll have all the things like discussion and media and files. Hit the files tab, and that files tab will, it just has a bunch of stuff in it, right? Just a few things in there now, but I put the contract in there. If anybody wants to know what kind of contracts we use and how we word it, go right in there. Download it. It's free. It's there for you. There's a few other things in there. In the future, if there are any other documents that you absolutely need, you need to be aware of, or I feel like you need to be aware of them, I will also put them in that files tab in the Facebook group. So you can have access to a lot of those documents. Now, I'm not going to go in there and put novation agreements and all that. I'm not going to do that. That requires a certain level of education, right? You just don't, you're not just using those kind of agreements, okay? So I want to make sure, since I see you here, Cassandra, I want to make sure that you know that that's there for you, okay? I did put it in a post, and I tagged you in that post so you could have it. I would have just sent you out an email, but I did it that way because I wanted to remind myself to remind everyone else. You have access to some of these documents inside of our free Facebook group. So just go into the files, hit the tabs, look around, download the stuff you need, and we'll just go from there. All right. Boom. Let's get back to it. So 2023, what is it going to look like? I want to play you a little clip. Okay. Because this is real.
Says it could put the housing market back into a, quote, better balance. Mitch Rochelle, he's our housing guy. Great to see you, Mitch. How long do you think this correction will last?
I think it lasts, well, a couple things are going to cause it to turn in the opposite direction, meaning home prices are going up. One is certainty. And when you don't know if interest rates are going to go up or not, I think that is what is driving a lot of people away from buying because they just don't know if rates are going to be cheaper in 2 months and they're just going to wait. And the other thing is uneasiness regarding the economy. And I think the shoe to drop there would be if we start seeing layoffs, if we start seeing unemployment, starting to rise. I think that could be something that causes a leg down in the housing market in a big way. The flip side is if the economy shows that it's improving and we sort of dodged the recession bullet and we got that soft landing that the Fed's trying to achieve, then I think the housing market starts seeing gains again because we still have a supply and demand imbalance, and that's what's been pushing prices up so much.
Well, they went up so much, outrageously so. Homes were staying on the market for, sometimes hours before they would get 5 or 6 offers. That drove prices up and, they were out of whack. And by the way, a new poll shows that 55% of Americans, this is interesting, say they can't afford to buy their own home in today's market, which is actually pretty interesting. It just shows you how high, but they got the cheaper interest rate. You see prices, I believe, falling between 10 and 15% from here. And I'm assuming that depends on what part of the country we're talking about.
Right. And my 10 to 15% ash is from sort of the peak in 2022, where we land in terms of average home prices being down 10 to 15%, which would be, if we were talking about the stock market, it would certainly be, seen as a correction, but not a bear market. But the thing to remember is that from February of 2020, home prices went up as much as 40%. So where we are today. So what we're doing is we're giving back perhaps at most, a third or a quarter of the gains that we realized. But that doesn't help somebody who just bought a house at the top of the market and now has something that's lost 10%.
Yeah. So it was always a seller's market. If we get back in balance, is it becoming more and more a buyer's market, even though the buyers maybe can't afford as much home as they could?
So that's where we are right there. It's the Fed chief, Powell, is telling people, look, we got to try to slow this thing down. I'm giving you all the backstory as to why creative financing is going to be good. You're hearing about home prices falling. You're hearing about interest rates go up. That's how we started this conversation. I will make this article and video available in the group after we finish here. I'll put it up so you can read it and you can watch the full video. It's only like 4 or 5 minutes long. But it's really interesting when you consider it, not just really the real estate business, but we're talking about what we do, right? So in real estate, as this environment continues to do what it does, it allows us to creatively flourish. People are saying no right now as values are coming down. Sellers are asking for more money. They're still unrealistic because they don't realize. I mean, they know that the interest rates went up, but it doesn't matter to them. It's like interest rates went up, F you, pay me, right? Doesn't matter to them. Values, when they were at their peak in 2022, like he said, I've been telling people, depending on where you are in the country, 10 to 20% on average. There are already places that have come down much, much more than 20%. And there are places that have only come down maybe 5%. But that's real. And we're going to talk about that today as well. So how do you make these offers in this new economy? What does making offers look like so you can make the money? How do you go from doing 1 or 2 deals right now to doing 10 deals, 15 deals, 20 deals? How does that happen outside of the marketing, okay? Because as I've said before, let's see what we got here. As I've said before, you know, we've got folks, let's see, all right. Also, my seller wants, Ryan wants to talk to both of us on Monday or Tuesday. Hey, anytime, let's make it happen. You know I'm here for you, so let's just do what we got to do. Let's get those folks doing what they need to do. Let's see, what does this say? Okay, so you told him that. All right, see, I told you these stories help. He thinks he wants cash offer, but willing to listen to creative deal. He loved the analogy, you know, the guy with the truck. Yes, that's the power of stories when you're building rapport with people, okay? When you're building rapport with people, you have to have stories to tell them. Not long, drawn out, crazy stories, but you have to have stories. So let's get back to this offer, right? Let's get back to what an actual offer. Hey, Ken, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Welcome. Welcome. So when you get on the phone with someone and you're having this conversation and you say, okay, here's the offer that I have prepared for you. Again, very often that offer isn't the first conversation. Sometimes it's the second or third conversation. Just depends on how you're structured, right? Depends on how much work you can do. For instance, just to give you an example of what I mean by that, let's say that I'm cold calling at my desk right here. I'm standing here at my desk and I'm cold calling. Well, I have all the information, not 100% of it, because I have to get their information on what the current status of the property is. I can see on my software, I can see on Zillow, I can see on MLS, whatever just may happen to be there, but I can get all the information as much as possible, when they bought it, if there's a loan, you know, what their interest rate is, what their payments probably, you know, just all of that stuff. You get at you're just looking at all of that. By the way, I use batch leads. If that's something that you want, I'll shoot you a link and you can get I think 5,000 leads for free. So, you know, and it only costs like 12 or 13 cents to skip trace. So that's one of the reasons that I love it. And you get so much information. But when I get on the phone with them, I'm calling that person and I can see the address, I can see whatever images of the house. I have a lot of information. So I'm going to ask them, you know, if they're selling the property, if it's a cold call, right? If this you're just calling tired landlords, you have to be very unique when you're having a conversation with them. You don't want to say, hey, I see your house at 123 Main Street. You want to sell it? No, you know, if you're calling tired landlords, ask them if the property is currently rented. I know that you don't live there. Is that property currently rented? How's that going for you? And ask them to talk to you. Okay? Because not that long ago, people were having a very difficult time dealing with landlords, or tenants, I should say, because no one had to pay. No one was paying. So that can be a problem, all right? That can be a real problem. So if they're not paying. Let me see. Engagement from your Facebook group. Invite others to connect. Okay. We'll do that another time. So, okay, sorry about that. Just get that conversation going. Now, when you're looking at your comparables, when you're deciding what your cash offer is going to be, remember, you know, we always talk about, or I always talk about that equation. And what is that equation again? After repair value, or ARV, times 70%. Some people are doing 75. That's fine, because lenders have gone up that way because of values and interest. So you can do it at 70 or 75. Obviously, 70 is really conservative. So, and there's a couple different ways to look at it, but we're going to keep it simple. ARV times 70% minus the cost of renovation, minus whatever potential profit you want to make. That's your maximum allowable offer, right? So again, to use numbers, very simple numbers. If the ARV is 200,000 and you're doing it by 75%, that's 50,000. If the renovations were 50,000, you're going to take that off of that 150, right? So now you went from 200, you took off 25%, which is 50,000. Now it's 150, and then you've determined that the renovations are going to be approximately $50,000. You're going to take that off of there now. Now you're down to 100. Now how much do you want to make? Do you want to make 5,000, 3,000, 10,000? Whatever that number is, make sure it's realistic, and then take that off of the remaining 100. Now, that if you're going to say I want to make $10,000, then it's going to be 90,000 is your maximum allowable offer, but you're not going to start there. You're going to start at probably 80, okay? And you're going to not go higher than that. Now, when it comes down to your ARV, they'll tell you, look 12 months. Everybody says, look 12 months, look 12 months. That's fine if you want to look 12 months because maybe there's not a lot of sales in the last 3 or 6 months because of what's been going on in the market. So you have to go back a little further so that you can get some idea of the values in that area. Perfectly fine. But you know what I want you to do? I want you to go on Zillow or MLS if you have it, or Trulia, or any of whatever you're more comfortable with. And I want you to pop in the zip code for that property and look at the trend in that neighborhood, in that zip code for that property. Don't go off national averages, okay? So if the trend was a downward 15% over the course of the last 12 months, then I need you to take that. If you've identified, okay, the ARV here is, 200,000, we'll just stay there. But in that particular zip code, values have come down year over year 10%. Your ARV is not 200,000 anymore. Your ARV is now what? You're going to take another 10% off of that. Your ARV is now $180,000. These are for your cash offers. Why would you do that? You say, Miles, that's crazy. People already want too much. I'm talking to them every day. I'm doing it too. I'm talking to them as well. But guess what? You're an investor. You're not here to invest in yesterday's prices. You're not here to invest in yesterday's values. You're not here to make that person happy, albeit both of you have to be comfortable, when you're doing a deal together. You're here to profit for yourself, your business, your family, your team, whatever that is. So you have to move wisely. You have to make wise decisions. And if you're making cash offers, you have to know 6 months from now, these values are going to come down because people are going to be forced to sell at lower numbers. So if you bought at a higher number, you're going to have to hold that property longer. If you bought it at a higher number, I'm talking about cash buying, okay? You can buy it for more on a creative financing side, but we'll get to that here in a second. When you're putting in these offers, cash offers, you've got to make it so these people think you are absolutely crazy, right? I don't mean going in and offering $20,000 on that potentially $200,000 value home, but I do mean being very aggressive. Maybe you do your numbers at 70%, okay? Or give them the benefit of the doubt. And like I said, you've done your research on the neighborhood or the zip code, and you took 10% off that ARV if that's what the data shows you. And then lenders are still doing 75, 80% loans. So now you're going to still do your ARV, your actual ARV, your adjusted ARV times 75%, which is what lenders are doing. And that would be fair because, you can take it off both sides. You can adjust that after repair value by that 10% and go off the 70% if you really want to. But I don't believe it's time to do that. I think you'll lose more deals than you'll get by doing that right now. I think that you take the adjustment on the ARV and use the 75% right now. That would be the just way to do it. You're still going to get a lot of people that turn you down. But what is going to be most important after they say no? Follow-up. Your follow-up game. Your follow-up game has to be impeccable. However you do it, you make sure that you have it in your calendar. Hey, I just spoke to Mr. Johnson at 2:30 on Sunday. I need to call him back. He said no. I got to call him back 2 weeks from now or 10 days from now. If he's actively selling it, maybe you're going to call him back in a week, right? If it was a cold call and you just didn't like that offer, maybe you give him the 2 weeks. Hey, have you thought about my offer? Can we have, another discussion? Hopefully he's not too upset and is willing to at least communicate with you. But that's just the one side. Okay, that's your cash offer side. So for any of you that have been on the phone with me, you'll hear me make dual offers on the same call. If I'm going to make one, I'm going to make two, right? So it just depends on the situation and how far away we are numerically, what their number is and what my number is. If my number is $80,000 and their bottom line number is 130,000, you know, it's a big deal, right? It's a big deal. So you have to find a way to do that. And so if I know that the person is not really, they're not off for their value, right? They're not off for their value, but they may not be taking into consideration that you are also an investor. They really want a retail buyer, but there's not many of those out there right now. So they're going to be inundated with people like us. And what happens if you really need or want to sell a property and you say no because you know you're not getting the price that you want right now? What's the one thing, if you really need to sell it or want to sell it, what's the one thing you don't have the luxury of? Time. You don't have the luxury of a bunch of time. Okay? So because you don't have the luxury as a seller of that time, at some point, you're going to be worn down on that price. You're going to have to give in or lose it and lose any potential profit that you might have. So you have to be willing, or you will be actually, as a seller, at some point. Most sellers are going to feel the pain and say, I got to get out. I got to be done. Let me just sell this thing, even if I have to sell it at a slight loss in some cases, because they don't need or want that burden for whatever reason. And it's a million different things. Maybe they bought it as an investment, didn't go well. Maybe they moved. Maybe they got laid off. I mean, all these things happen. You heard the gentleman in the video talk about if these things happen. Let's see. We got a question here. Let's see. So what do you do if the home needs no repairs? I find many, homeowners that want to sell, but they have no loan on the home, but are asking for top value. Should I just move on? Great, great, great question. And let me tell you this about that. No, you make them a creative financing offer. Because if they want to sell it, they don't have a loan, even if they have a loan, whether they, seller financing or subject to, right? So the conversation is always similar, not the same, but similar. So the conversation, they want to sell it, find out why they're going to sell it, and then ask them, hey, just out of curiosity, once you get this house sold, what are you going to do with the money? What are your plans? You're going to take a vacation? You're going to buy another place? I mean, what are your thoughts? What are you planning? What are you going to do with it? And let them tell you, look, well, we're going to move to Arizona. We're going to move to Vegas. We're going to move to Florida. Or we're just going to get an apartment somewhere and just downsize our life. Whatever. That money is going to be sitting somewhere, right? It's going to be just sitting somewhere. They don't need all of that money to go get a place. Now, some people want to put it all down. They want a really, really small loan, and that's understandable. We're not going to talk about them. So you don't just move on. You say, all right, you've gotten into this conversation. You know what they're going to do with this money, what their plans are. What you're asking them that for is it's giving you the ability to now go back into this conversation and develop in your mind while you're talking and thinking, develop in your mind another strategy. Okay, how can I can't get them all this cash. I'm not a retail buyer at all under any circumstances. As it relates to cash, I can't do that. But my conversation to them is this. Okay, I understand that you need a cash sale for this. How long have you been there? You've been there 10 years. Okay, and you've got all this equity. Only a certain percentage of it is going to be taxable. Over $250,000 is going to be taxed. Depends on the size of the house. Okay, if it's an investment property, any profit is going to be subject to capital gains. So I use that in my favor. If it's a non-owner occupied home, I say, hey, listen, we've asked what you're going to do with the money, all that. I say, you're asking for super top dollar, maybe even more than the market is, can bear right now. Have you at least considered some creative financing opportunities? And if they know what that is, and they just because some people know what it is, and they're like, no, I'm absolutely don't want to do that. And then I come right back with the tax liability. Well, we can circumvent the capital gains taxes that you're going to wind up paying if you become the bank. And regardless of what it is you plan on doing, as you move on to the next phase of your life, you're always going to have this money coming in. You're going to get some money in hand now, and you're going to have, a monthly check that comes in for as long as we agree. Would that be of interest to you? Because, by the way, you're not paying taxes anymore. I'm doing that. You're not doing any repairs anymore. I'm doing that. Nobody's going to call you in the middle of the night because a window is broken, or the snow needs to be shoveled away, or the grass needs to be cut. That's never going to happen. You will literally be the bank. And as the bank, you never get those phone calls. It's 100% on me. That means any repairs that are ever needed, if the HVAC system goes out, it's all on me. It's not you at all. You simply just get a check. And hey, we can do it for, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. We've got deals that we've done for 20, that we put 20-year balloons in place. So that's how you approach it. So if they want too much money, you go into this whole thing. Well, listen, I can get you all that here. We can do this. And we don't like to put down more than, like 5%, if I'm being honest. A $200,000 house, $10,000, we're okay with that. We've put $15,000 down on, $400,000 houses. So we want to keep that down payment way down, right? And what I do is I ask them, and they say, well, what do you mean? What kind of terms? And I ask them, because I want to see how realistic they are. So my question to them is, we can work that out. We can negotiate that. But with you being the bank, I kind of want to hear where you're coming from. You understand what my dilemma is. We don't want expensive money, and that's what's out here right now. It doesn't work for investors. So in order for me to make sure you can profit and I can profit, we have got to have, as low as interest rates as we can. But I don't want to be the one to give you that number. I'm already giving you your price. So can you give me an idea of what you think would be fair? And I can tell you what that looks like on a monthly basis. This is what I do. And I had people tell me, well, I want 8%. So I'll do the math for them and say, okay, well, here's what that 8% looks like amortized out over a 30-year period. But I can go and get a loan from a bank, maybe at 7.5, but I don't want to do that. It's still expensive money either way. But I'm giving you your price. I'm actually giving you more. Let's say the house is worth, I believe it's worth in this market today, $180,000. I'm giving you the whole $200,000 you've asked for. Now, is it fair? Is it reasonable for us to agree? Can we at least agree on the fact that this $200,000 is at least at the very, very top of the market, maybe even a little more because of market conditions? Can we at least agree on that? And then when they say yes, now you found common ground. They realize who you are. They understand they're in a negotiation. Okay? You're willing to give them their price. But now they know that they have to be realistic on the term that they're going to offer, right? Now you can come in at this point when they say that and you've said all that stuff, you can come right in and say, okay, great. So for us, what we're doing, we're doing a lot of 3.5%, maybe 3%, maybe even 4% rates. That's what we're doing, okay? Which one of them will be comfortable for you? Let's see here. Another question. We got one. Should I consider looking at houses with HOAs? 2, also, would I offer creative financing on a multi-unit property? 100%. We're doing 82 units in Miami right now. It's not one unit. It's 4 different ones, but 100%. Why would I say that? Because if you're talking directly to the owners of multifamily right now know that they're not getting those things sold. Why aren't they getting them sold? Because interest rates are so high. They want top dollar for these properties because rents are high, right? Rents haven't come into check everywhere yet. So since rents are so high, that's how these things get valued. So the valuation is way up here. And in order to borrow that money today, even cheap money, which is called agency debt in the commercial space, is still like 7.5%, probably 7%. So it's 3 times as what it was a year ago, not even a year ago, but definitely a year ago, 3 times as high. So yes, multifamily is great. 1 is because they know they're not going to get it sold anytime soon. 2, they understand how money moves as well. So if they can get a decent down payment for these 82 units that we're looking at, we're going to need to put down right around 1.8, 1.9 million. That's the down payment. Sounds like a lot, but it's Miami real estate, and it really boils down to be about 10% of the asset value. So the total asset value, which still falls in line to where we are. So we raise money and create partnerships, and we go and do that. So yes. You would use creative financing on multifamily. 100%. Don't hesitate. The sellers that need to sell or really want to sell, you can give them their price. There's several examples out there. We're doing a triplex. I mean, it's a smaller one, but we're doing a triplex for 300 and... Well, we didn't get that one, but we were doing it. We offered, I think it was 370 something thousand for that, with 4 or 4.5% interest, and 20-year balloon, with the property being amortized out over 30 years, but with a 20-year balloon. Gives us a lower payment for the market that we're in, and allows us to have growth as we move forward. So yes, the answer is yes, very much so yes. Those folks understand how money works. They do not want the tax liabilities. They, in this case, just don't want to manage it anymore. They're not interested in that. This is an asset. Wealthy people understand they want to keep assets, and they need those assets to continue to produce monthly income. That's what they're in it for. Having that big lump sum of money come into their hands, even if it's only 10%, will allow them to go and reinvest that somewhere else to create more cash flow. But they'd be doing this now, again, with no tax liability. Okay? Nothing more than their income taxes as they earn it throughout the years. Okay? And pay annually. That's how that plays out. It's much, much smaller than having to come up with a big old chunk of money right when you sell that thing, or at least by the end of the year. So it works out really, really well. Okay? It works out really, really well. So I would encourage you 1,000% to also look at multifamily for those kinds of transactions. Knowing how to explain these things, the tax ramifications on single or multifamily, doesn't really matter. But knowing how to explain these things is vitally important to the growth of your business, because it's going to be a selling point. Being able to tell stories, right? It's going to be able to very simply drill it in to someone, right? So I tell a story about someone else, okay? I tell a story about someone else who was having an issue when it comes, creative financing comes up, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that, I didn't want to do it. I tell someone else's story. You're very welcome. And in telling them that story, it very simply breaks down. So it's the story of a guy who was also in real estate. It's his story, and he talks about this story all the time. But it drills home the meaning, the idea, so that anyone can understand it. So he was selling the truck. Here's the short version. He's a real estate guy. So he was selling the truck, and Kelly Blue Book said it was worth like $5,000. He put it out there for sale, in the same places, Marketplace, Craigslist, all those kind of places, right? And he was getting lowball offers, which he wasn't going to accept, right? He wasn't going to accept it. So he went through a couple of weeks of this. He was frustrated, had a conversation with his wife, and she said to him, why don't you sell it like you sell houses? So he rephrased it, and he went back in, redid the ad, and this time he wanted more money. He put it out there for like $10,000 this time. And he said, we'll take payments. Owner will finance. And now he had a whole bunch of people calling him. And so why would somebody buy a $10,000 truck or a $5,000 truck for $10,000? Well, they'll do it because they can't get a loan, maybe somewhere else, any other reason. And this truck that he was buying, for this $5,000 truck that this gentleman was buying for $10,000, he didn't have the money, obviously, to go pay cash for a truck. He needed to be able to get a loan, and obviously he couldn't. This was an easy way for this gentleman to get this truck. Why? Because it allowed him to go to work and make money with that vehicle. So it wasn't about the value of the vehicle. It was about what it did for him, what it allowed him to do and go out there and make money. And in explaining that to people in some version, you can use that one, you can use, there's all kind of different ways to explain it. But that's the one that I find that makes a lot of sense to people depending on who you're talking to. And being able to let them know without using big phrases and terms, again, I tell people, don't be the smartest one on the phone, because you're going to intimidate people. And they're going to say, yeah, yep, you're right, I get it. And then they're never going to call you back because they simply do not understand what just came out of your mouth. Excuse me. You just confused them, right? And instead of them saying, well, hold on a second, can you break that down a little bit more for me? I don't quite get it. So you want to be don't even get into that conversation by using amortization and 30-year terms, and don't even think about that until you have a deal signed, okay? And you're just going to confuse people. So just get there. Tell a story that a third grader can understand, that drills your point home. If you can do that, you can, build rapport a lot faster with all parties involved. And that's exactly what you're trying to do. Build rapport, likability, trust, believability. Excuse me for a second. Those are the things you need. So again, going into 2023, adding these creative financing strategies to your deal offering system it's not even important. It's a must. It's an absolute. You have to do it, right? And there's all kind of different ways that you can go at your leads, right? I'll tell you one that I think is great. And you've heard other people do this. And if you've got time during the day, preferably the morning hours, okay? I'd say anytime between 8 and 11. If you've got a couple hours in there, a few days a week, and for all the people that come through my program, I tell you the same thing. I need you to have 5 to 10 hours a week minimum to put into your business. If you got that and you use that time wisely, it's not all just time spent with me. Some of it is, yes, but it's time that you're working in your business and you're doing things. Okay. Part of this is going to be getting on the phones. Who are you going to call? I'm going to tell you an easy one right now. And I know I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Real estate agents. Just call them. Okay. Just open up Zillow, look for listing agents, and call them. Say, hey, my name is Miles. Yes, that truck store had me and seller laughing. Yeah, exactly. It was great. That's good because it's real, right? That's real. It's a real story about real people trying to, figure something out. It's real. So thank you. All right. So calling up agents, listing agents in particular. Hey, my name is Miles. How are you today? Well, the reason I'm giving you a call today is I work with a lot of real estate agents around the country, or my team does, however you want to say that. And we're looking for listing agents that have properties that they have had a very difficult time selling as of late. Maybe it's just priced too much. Maybe it needs too much work, whatever the case. We'd love to have an opportunity to potentially work with you and your seller about that. And that works super, super great. Why does it work great? It works great because these agents want to get paid. And if this property has been on the market 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, which is what we're seeing now, a lot of them, right? The sellers are getting mad at the agent, like the agent's doing something wrong. Okay, it's market conditions and they're changed, and maybe that agent didn't have a very solid conversation when they listed that property, knowing where our economy was going, being able to list it in an effective way. That in effective means getting it sold as fast as possible. Getting it sold, that's what effective means, right? Effective means here's a price that we're listing this particular home for because we know that it's going to move at this price. Okay. All of the things that were happening 2 years ago are changing. Great advice. Thank you, Mr. Wingo. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. So you have to do that. So call agents. You don't have to buy a list. You don't have to skip trace anything. You just have to keep calling. And the ones that you get a hold of, you have to follow back up with. Oops, I almost dropped my camera. You have to follow back up with. You have to be the pursuer. You have to be in constant pursuit of your prey. These agents are holding your money, okay? They're the ones that are holding your money. And if you can make them like you, believe in you, and trust your process, you're going to be great. And if you have any issues with that, just call your boy and I'll help you work through it, okay? But that's a great place to start. And you say, well, Miles, why? Why? I mean, everybody I talk to says to go after these kind of people, buy this kind of list, you can do all of that. We do it. Absolutely. But we have a process for that. We know what we're looking for, right? We understand our KPIs, our key performance indicators. We know when we're not hitting them. And then we look at it and we say, why? But we'll get into that as well. And if you don't have a ton of time to say, look, I've got 5 to 10 hours to put into this, but I want to really I want to learn this. I got to do this. Plus I have my career and my family. I get it. If you've got a little bit extra, hire a VA. We can get you trained VAs. Just reach out to me. We got trained VAs. They're trained on using batch leads and batch dialer. But you can get a grasshopper system if you wanted to and have them use that grasshopper to make these kinds of calls. I'm just giving you some affordable ways to get stuff done, because even if you went with what I would recommend is you're going to spend $500, $499 or $497 for the VA. You're going to invest monthly into batch leads, batch dialer. That's going to cost you, I don't know, let's just say that's another $200 a month. That's $500 is a one-time fee. If you're hiring a part-time cold caller, you can get them for $4 an hour to start out. Good ones, $5 an hour just to start out. And I'll give you the whole process of what that looks like later. But even if you're paying them $5 an hour, 20 hours a week, it's $100 a month. No, $100 a week. Excuse me. It's $100 a week, $400 a month. But that's 80 hours of work that you can get out of them that you don't have to do, right? That you don't have to do. So, and it's going to cost you $600 a month. And then there's some skip tracing that you're going to do. And that's going to cost you, depending on how many leads, maybe another $100 a month. Maybe. I don't think it's even going to cost you that much. But, that's how much it costs. You don't have to pay for leads anymore. You get 10,000 leads a month. You're not going to call all those, on a shoestring budget. You'll probably get through 2,000 or 3,000 a month, right? So, but that's just there. But if you're just calling agents to build that, to do that, why do I say agents? Why, Miles? Why real estate agents? Well, let me tell you why. Real estate agents are going to do this. If you can fix their problem, they're going to keep on sending you deals. If you could talk to one person who has 5 clients all the time, who might need help, that's potentially 5 deals a month, 5 deals a quarter, let's say, right? Off that one person. I got a buddy of mine. I talk about him a lot. Steve, he's on the podcast with me. We work together on a lot of different projects. Steve has one agent, that he has brought. That agent has brought him over 100 deals. Now, not over a year or two. That's been over probably a 10-year period. Maybe not quite 10 years, maybe 7 or 8. But still, it's over 100 deals. Over 100 deals from that one person. He didn't market for that. He developed a relationship. And so when you have agents, we have in our system right now probably, I don't know, maybe 10 agents that just continue to refer business to us. It could be a little bit more, but it's at least that. Let's just call it a dozen, right? So that are constantly saying, hey, here's the deal. I got a problem with this one. Can't get it sold. What can you do? Can you help us out? Yeah, absolutely. And then when you're negotiating with your agents, you're not paying a 3% fee. You're not doing that because they're going to lose the deal. And that 3% can be a big deal for you. Let me give you a quick number on what that might look like. On that same $200,000 house, right? If it was a creative financing deal that the agent brought you, they would normally get 3% of that. 3% of that is $6,000. Let's say that person wanted 5%, $10,000 to leave, right? So now you're at $16,000. We're going over what's called an entry fee right now. I'll get into that at another time, but you're building your entry fee. If you're wholesaling this, you might want $10,000. Okay, so now you're up to $26,000. Does the property need any repairs at all? Does it need to be cleaned or painted? Do the locks need to be changed? The answer to that is more than likely going to be yes. That's going to take you at least a month to do. So how much does that money cost, right? How much is it going to cost? What did you negotiate? Let's say that payment wound up being $1,200, just throwing numbers out there, right? So now you're at $27,200. Okay, that's your holding time for just 1 month, and the cost to do all that stuff might be, to paint it, clean it, change the locks. Let's just say that cost another $4,000. Okay, now you're at $31,200. That's the entry fee. And I'm just keeping it really quick and really simple. There's more that come into there, but it costs roughly $32,000 for you to wholesale this off to someone who wants the cash flow. Okay, $32,000. So you have to know all those numbers coming in. But going back to the agents, 6 of that $32,000 is the agents. That's their 3% on a deal they would be losing if you didn't come in and fix it. So you go back in with them and you renegotiate that 3%, maybe down to 1%. Maybe you negotiate it to 1.5%. I don't go any higher than that, and it's not always that. A lot of times it's a dollar amount, right? Depends on the size of the house, all that great stuff. So on a $200,000 house, I would probably negotiate it down to 1 to 1.5% with them. Say, hey, listen, we're not going to have another agent on this side. We're doing all this ourselves. But in order for us to fix this, we're coming in cash heavy on a deal you can't get sold. You got to adjust your fee. We're gonna redo the contract where we're going to pay you. They don't have to pay you. We're going to pay you. That's going to make them feel a lot better about doing the deal because they were prepared to pay up to 6%. You have to remember this. You're also saving and or making the seller more money on a creative finance deal that is at the top. When they sign that agreement, they know they're going to have to pay 6%. They know it. It's already been communicated. So since they know it, and on a $200,000 house, as we said, 6% is $12,000. That means they've got some equity. They've got some room to move. So if I could come in and say, hey, listen, what if I could save you $12,000 on this as part of our deal? What if I could save you $12,000? They're going to absolutely be listening to what you have to say. So if I can go back into them, they want $200,000. I said, look, I can save you $12,000 by getting rid of the real estate agent fee. I'll pay them, but let's split the difference. Instead of $200,000, let me get it for $194,000. And you keep that other $6,000. And I'm going to pay the real estate agent provided they're willing to work with me. Now, a seller is going to listen to that, right? Would you listen to that as a seller? I know I would. I would absolutely be willing to listen to that, especially if I was already considering doing a creative finance deal because of whatever my situation was. How do I save $12,000? And yes, I'll give you a better price if you can save me some money. Absolutely. That is what we call a no-brainer, right? So they're going to be willing to listen more. Now they trust you more. Now you're really into the game with them. You're really sitting down having a beer together kind of talk now because you've saved them money. You've already proven yourself to be valuable to them because you have given before you have received. Because you have given before you have received. And that is what it's all about. Okay? You have to create and show the value to the people that you're dealing with. You don't just be that person that's calling, hey, you got this house at 123 Main Street. Is it still for sale? Or have you thought about selling it? Okay, no? Okay, thanks, bye. Don't do that. Be different. Stand out. Fall back. Again, for anyone that's been on the phone with me, and their sellers, because I'll call other people's sellers with them on the line. For anyone that's been on the phone with me, you've heard me talk people off the fence, right? Maybe we didn't get that deal, but we have a good enough relationship to follow back up with them. We got communication and conversation going. We've given information to them about market conditions and what we think it's going to look like. Now, again, houses are still going to sell. I'm not saying that houses aren't going to sell. Houses are still going to sell. It's just not going to be as many of them right now. We're going to wind up with a lot more inventory. And with that inventory sitting on the market pushes values down even further, which brings us back in 2 or 3 years to the cycle that you guys, some of you, bought into, wholesaling from the wholesale guru people, right? Would you give me a better price if I can save you some money? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Absolutely. Would you give me, if I can save you some money, and you already know what it's going to be if you're doing a creative financing deal and it's listed. You already know that if it's listed for 200,000, you already know what 6% of that is. You know they signed up for it, so it can be part of your pitch. You know, can we? If I can say, and you go in and be specific on that number. If I can come in this deal and save you $12,000, $10,000 or $12,000, can we negotiate something on this price? If I can save you that, absolutely guaranteed, if I can save you that, can we negotiate something on this price? They'll do it. Most of them. I'm not going to say every one of them is going to do it, but because for a lot of them, you have to remember people are traditional in their thinking. So if they're not really familiar with investors and creative financing structures, and they're not, most people won't be, you have to, again, soften it up and show them how to do it and bring it to them in a way that's easy for them to understand and comprehend, right? And that's literally all you have to do, right? But if you're just starting out, doesn't matter where you are in the country, where you're watching this from, get on the phone and start calling these agents. And I've got a time, we've got a gentleman, you hear me talk about Paul. Paul's having a hard time talking to people in his community. He's calling in his area. It's just a small place, a very small place. Everybody knows everybody. You know, it's that kind of thing. And it's very, very small. With these kind of strategies, you can do it anywhere, right? We've got people in North Carolina that are doing deals in Texas. We've got people in Georgia that are doing deals in Miami, that are doing deals in Texas, that are doing deals in Ohio, that are doing deals in just all over the place. It doesn't matter. You pick whatever market you like. You pick whatever market you want to work in, and you start calling those agents. What does that say? What'd you say there? You would have to be an idiot to say no to that. Absolutely. You'd be just, well, I just want to give away money. You know, I just want to give away money. And then your conversations with the agent are, because we tell agents 100% of the time, look, we're going to make sure you get paid. It just can't be 3%. It doesn't fit into our numbers. So even in that $200,000 case that we just talked about, where it cost me about, you know, the entry fee with that agent in there is about $32,000. That's with their $6,000 of that being theirs. If I can cut that in half down to $3,000 or $2,000, you know, obviously that's just more profit for me. It's less money that I have to bring to the table later on, but you know, over the long term, it's more profit for me. But right now, I just don't have that. You know, it's just less money I have to come out of pocket with. God, that was my next question. Okay, cool. So you just want to be as creative as possible. Going into 23, how are you going to make it in real estate? You're going to make it because you're being creative. You're going to make it because you took the time and the opportunity to learn how to do these strategies and implement them into your business. Again, it doesn't mean that you're not going to do wholesale deals ever again, you know, the traditional wholesale or fix and flip. You will, right? In our education program, you learn all of that. We teach it all because I don't want you to miss out on a deal. You hear me talk about the carve method. The carve method, some of you have heard about it, but if you're in the group, in the trainings, you know that already. It means conservative after repair value estimate. So it basically blocks out these equity positions in houses so you don't miss any opportunity, right? I don't want you to miss any opportunities. It doesn't mean you're going to make a deal every time, but the odds of you making a deal are going to go up significantly month over month as we move into 2023. That's why I have been pressing people in our group. You know, it's called the Inner Circle. to stay on the phones, do your follow-ups. Don't worry about not getting in right away. We've got people that are doing deals in the first couple of weeks. I tell people 90 days, if I'm being honest, because everybody's going to work at different paces. One, and I mean, say what you will about it. You know, some people are going to work faster. Some people are going to be like, I'm just putting in 5 hours this week. Some people are going to be like, I wish I had 20, right? Some people's energy is a little different than other people when they're communicating with people because maybe they're a little nervous, they're afraid. Whatever the case, over time you get past it and you get better with it. You're also packing up your pipeline, you know, with people to call back, people that you've developed some semblance of a relationship with, but every time you call them back, you're getting closer and closer and closer to one another. Every time you call them back, you're putting yourself in a better position to get that deal every single time. So you got to stick with it. You got to stick with it and get that education, right? So I want y'all to know that I appreciate you for you that have taken the time to get on here. I want to say again, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel and be notified when we do this or anything else. If you're not watching it on YouTube, go over to the YouTube channel, okay? It's the Jason O. Miles Real Estate Network, and subscribe to the channel, and let's stay connected. Listen to the podcast. We're almost up to 100 episodes. We'll be there before the quarter's out, which is, for me, a real milestone. So I want to thank you guys for being here. If you want to work with me, we've got some great things. Oh, and by the way, for anybody that wants to get into our mastermind group, we are only accepting 20 people this year. We've got 3 so far. In September, if you're a part of the mastermind program, we don't call it that. We call it the Creative Mind Collective. We are going to Belize this year. So we will be paying for you to come to Belize for a week to hang out with me, talk real estate. We have marketing professionals. We have not creative finance, estate planning attorneys, all kind of things that are going to help you do better financially. So we'll be in Belize for a week. I'm getting this big old mansion. You come on down to the mansion. I'm paying for that. We've got cooking staff, cleaning staff. I pay for your flight as well. It's all inclusive basically for you. And then there's a whole year of education as well. If that's something that you're interested in, or just the education, reach out to your boy. Let's have a conversation and go from there. We have payment options structured for everything. My biggest thing is to get you to where you want to go as fast as possible. That's why I'm here doing these lives every week, because I understand how difficult it can be for people to get there, okay? If you have any questions, how can I chat on the YouTube when you're live? Just go into the YouTube chat. The YouTube has a chat. The chat feature is always made available when I'm doing that. You'll be able to go and just be right there. You know, you'll be right there. So yeah, that's how we're doing it. So I'm gonna need y'all to come on in. It sounds amazing. Thank you. It is amazing. And I love it. It said to make a channel. I don't know. Maybe if you're new to YouTube, I don't know if they make you make a channel. I have absolutely no idea. But yes, y'all, this is what we're doing. This is how it goes. I want you to be successful in 23. We're going to talk more about creative financing deals. I'm going to talk almost exclusively about creative finance deals because it's easy. You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome for the information. It's easy to go out here and learn how to do these wholesale deals. I don't want to say it's easy, but I can promise you this. As you learn how to talk to people and do the dual offer option that I'm putting out here for you, as you put this to use, you talking to people is going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy. And when we get through this hard part and we get to the easy part, not only will you be in position to take advantage of it, you will also be in the money. You're going to be in the money. You're going to have money. You're going to have relationships. You're going to have, hopefully anyway, you're going to have cash flow, monthly cash flow that comes in. This is what we talk about constantly, right? What do you say there, Brick? Let's see what you said. Put Jason on Miles' name in the search bar. Yeah, just put Jason O. Miles in the search bar on YouTube, and then you'll see some things come up there. But it's the Jason O. Miles Real Estate Network. And again, subscribe, like, share it with other people as well, because this is real information. I'm telling you, this is as real as it gets. These are the things that I'm doing every day. I'm teaching other people how to do it every day. And it works. This is real. This is how you do 10, 15, 20, 30 deals a month. You know, you hear people talk about doing 50, 60 deals a month, and they're doing that, obviously, in multiple markets, you know, and they build a big web to do that, and that's fine. That might be what you want to do as well. But I promise you this, none of that's going to happen unless you start right here. None of that's going to happen unless you take action today. None of that is going to happen if you don't invest in yourself in some kind of way, with somebody at some point, because that's how you get there faster. That's how I can tell you my slow story. I've told you guys all before, and I'll probably wind up saying again, but I don't want to hold y'all in these seats much longer, because look, it's still a holiday, and I know some of y'all are still planning on doing something because you ain't got to work tomorrow. You know, so again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I really do appreciate you, and hey, let's make it happen. Peace. Turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up.